Hey guys, this is Set 18 exclusive gameplay video footage provided by Riot Games themselves from their playtest. I'm really excited about Set 18. There's some crazy 5-cost combinations that we're going to be going over and crazy 5-cost boards that we're going to be going over. I think the 5 costs are really cool this set, so stay tuned for that. At the end of the video, we're going to be going over that. If you're as excited about Set 18 Enchanted Wilds as I am, make sure to follow me on Twitch and make sure to follow my YouTube videos because I will be making content for that. Starting July 29th, we will have access to PvE and I will be playing on that and showing you guys everything that is possible in Set 18. So if you're excited about that, please follow me on Twitch and on YouTube. And now let's get to the gameplay footage itself. So here, you know, there's a lot of new augments, but I think we're not in the spot for those trade-specific augments. So we're just going to go through something a bit more generic here in Portable Forge. Forge is always really a fan favorite and always quite fun. I also want to go over this early game charm called Artifactinate. You're going to lose 3 components, including the ones already built into items, and gain an artifact anvil. So usually you start the game with 3 components. So basically, they're going to start the game with 2 artifacts, which is always really fun. I actually don't know how good this augment is in the general sense. I don't think that 1.5 items is actually worth the item of a forge, but it kind of depends if there's like really niche interactions or something like that. Blighting Jewel, for example, is just slightly better than a Rabadon's. You know, it gives 60 AP and 2 mana regen. A Rabadon's gives 55 AP and 10% damage jam. So I think they're pretty close to each other. Maybe on average, a forge item is like 1.1x better, but it definitely depends on the interactions. If you love Forge, you'll love Artifactinate. You can see it in stage 1. I don't know how often, but a lot of the early game charms that you'll see end up being pretty like econ based. You'll gain like 1 or 2 golds. We'll see later in this game, what's going to happen. I think what's really cool about this interaction, so they just put in Blackthorn. I think right now on data sites it's called Eldritch, but I think they changed the name to Blackthorn. You're going to have like a sacrifice that's going to make your whole team stronger. So that's really cool there. Depending on what you sacrifice, you can gain HP, AD, cool stuff like that. And I think this Krug interaction is really cool. So this is just the Krug. If you played League of Legends, you know how the Krug splits into mini, I don't know what they're called, Kruglets. I'm sure there's a more official name. When they actually break with Light Shield, these things will also get the armor from or the shielding from Light Shield Crest. So that's a really cool niche interaction here that this is Nico playing. And yeah, so they just got a simple econ charm, which was gain 2 XP for 1 gold. So basically just get 1 gold is how you can really like think about it in total value. So a lot of the charms early are like pretty low impact, but like still pretty fun. And you can play around them. As you can see here, they leveled to level 5 off of that, right? Which normally you couldn't do. So it's not exactly just 2 gold. Abstractly, it's just 2 gold, but you know, there's a lot more going on there too. Something I really like this set, I'll have to see how it actually plays, but it feels like the trait web really flows well. I think, something we have to stop and talk about. Sometimes the carousel will have, normally it's 9 units and then you're left, like if you've ever been the last one coming to carousel, there's only 1 unit left. I think they've done a good job, and I sometimes there will be 9, 11 or 13 units on the carousel, and I think that does a good job of making sure that you don't feel like crap going into the last one. I have to choose between 2 bad components here if you're like the last pick. So I think that's a really good choice. Here there's a bunch of pans, so basically on carousel you can randomly go from I think 9, 11 and 13. What the odds are, I'm not exactly sure, but here there's 11. So hopefully we get some good combination or some like more options here as the later picks. But yeah, I think this is to help people feel like they have more agency in their game, because it always feels bad when you're left with only 3 components. It feels kind of bad. This will feel more like Set 17 Space Gods, where you at least have more options here. You might not get your BIS component on the win streak or anything like that, but you'll at least have higher agency, a higher percentage chance of agency if you are the win streak player. I think going through this, we're gonna like skip through a lot of the gameplay here just because it's quite frankly not exciting. We did say we were gonna get to the crazy 5 costs. I just kind of want to go through charms and stuff like that. This is a cool charm. If you like gambling, a lot of these charms kind of feel like gambling, and I know I know players love gambling here, so yeah. Here they gave the alpha mark to the Frog. Oh, I actually don't think they give the alpha mark. Alpha mark is like Rift Beast. You can just buff up one of your Rift Beasts and then they get a buff, like a red buff or a blue buff or whatever it's called basically there. Different units have different alpha marks and like have some effect, but it basically buffs them up. They're going through their planner, no worries. We're not worried about any specific comp. It'll be really interesting. Sometimes you want combat charms and sometimes you don't. Like if we were on Loose Streak here, this is called Borrowed Gear, which just grants a champion a temporary item. Since we're on win streak, we obviously don't mind a little bit more board strength. This could make the difference in the fight is kind of what Aniko is thinking here. You Plenu by gamertag or by this playtest tag. So I really like the decision here. I think charms add a lot of agency into the game. So I'm really excited for charms just because I think it gives us a lot more chance as players to really have agency and have choice and express skill with these small decisions that we have in the game. That's one of the things in Space Gods that I really liked, was the gods giving us more choices. I think this gives us more choice per round, basically, as well. So as far as the set mechanic, really fun, really interesting. We've already seen some like cool stuff here, and it changes the way you play the game. So fundamentals are going to matter more and more. None of those prismatics were all too different. We're going to skip ahead through this mid game, actually. Nothing too exciting. We have a crazy great tank, and we're sacrificing some units here. And we have a Warwick 2, which is like our damage dealer right now. But yeah, nothing too exciting. I really want to get to the 4 and the 5 costs here, because the 4 costs are really cool. I want to go over them. In particular, in this game, we are going to play around Malphite and... Oh, something really interesting here. For example, I believe they level and they roll. Maybe they're looking for a charm. And then they decided to stop here. So Malphite is the unit that we play around this whole game. It's Blackthorn / Eldritch. I think on data sites it will be Eldritch, like I said. But he has a trait called Monolith, and Monolith is basically like a stone plate for you, so you don't actually have to build stone plate on him, and he becomes like this crazy giga tank. Especially with these items, he has such crazy strong items. He becomes this really strong giga tank, and we have that scaling with Soul's Awakening. So that's kind of the whole interaction of our board right now, is our Malphite's going to go crazy with all this extra HP from Eldritch / Blackthorn, and he himself as a tank is just really, really strong with a built-in gargoyle. So I really like these unique 4 costs and their unique traits. Monolith is just completely unique here. And we're going to play another one called Zyra. And Zyra only has 1 trait as well. Let me look it up here on the side really quick. She's Summoner, and then her unique trait is Thorn Maiden. So these unique traits are like the name implies, just applies to them. But at the same time, the Thorn Maiden is a lot like Shyvana from set 16. If you played that, you just add durability for each plant that comes out. So her spell is like, summon plants. She's a summoner, so she's going to summon plants. And your team gains durability based on how many Zyra plants are alive. So I love Monolith and Thorn Maiden. I think they add a little bit of flavor. And Find Your Center here complements our Giga Tank really, really well here with the Malphites. I don't know how much damage he's actually doing, to be totally honest, but yeah, I think the really, really cool thing is that they have unique traits. So I think last set, people were really kind of disappointed with the tanks and the uniqueness. Tom grants a shield and Rammus grants a shield, Nunu classic CC tank. I believe there's just so many unique units in this set, and it's going to require a lot of reading. I'm not going to lie to you guys and say I've read everything, but yeah, there's just like a lot more depth, I believe, in this set, with the charms giving us more agency per turn and just the units being really cool. I also think the Enchanted Wild units look really cool. Like the theme looks really nice with all the infernal elemental type things. And it just seems like art-wise, it's really good. Kog'Maw's this really interesting unit as well. They don't have Shred or Sunder on their board, and Kog'Maw as a unit, if you know set 16 Aphelios or Zoe, it just provides both Shred and Sunder as his passive Caustic. So this is another one of those unique traits only to Kog'Maw, but it helps your whole team, much similar to Thorn Maiden, just by it providing you shred. So they've added a lot of these cool splashy units. So there's a lot of skill to express in the mid game boards. And even like if you're flexing on your level 8 boards, there's a lot of skill to be expressed. And hey, if you're not one of those like flex players, it's totally fine. These units will still be like really, really cool to add in regardless. So in this whole mid game, we're going to be playing around the Malphite and the Zyra 2. That's really cool. But we're going to scale into 5 costs, and spoiler alert, the 5 costs are really, really cool. The 5 cost combination that I'm particularly thinking about that I think was really cool is actually not on our board. So a little bit of bait there on the title, but the really cool combination is on Kiwoo's board, who's currently in first place. We're going to fight them a lot at the end, so let's try to skip ahead. I'm not too worried about the traits or anything on the left or right too much, because we're going to change our board and stuff like that. They're just going to make good castery items on Zyra. Zyra's a classic caster, and then still make anti-heal like a good dpei Biss follower. I knew Iniko believed in dpei Biss. I knew he believed in anti-heal. We're going to try to skip ahead. Oh, I remember this time there was like some PvE bug where they're basically AFK for a long time. But we're going to skip ahead to some of the more interesting parts. And in particular, we're going to talk about Elune. I believe, sorry, it's here that we get to play around Elune 2. Elune is really cool. One, she's lunar, but she also has that cool unique trait called Attuned. If you played set 16 Senna Soulbound passive, where it alternates between giving your team durability and giving your team damage amp. So that's her like unique 5 cost type of thing there to help your whole team. But she's also lunar, which is really good, and a spell weaver. So she's a classic caster as well. With her spell, she's a classic caster, and her spell just like looks really cool with the moon stuff. And I'm like really hoping this game that we could have gotten Lunar Lux, but during this roll down, we actually got Primal Lux. So Lux is one of the cool 5 costs where she gives you 2 of 1 trait. That her trait is doubled. Basically, her passive is that her unique trait is that she gives you 2 of anything. But the thing is that there's like 8 Luxes, or I'm looking through 9 Luxes. So you might not always find the best one. Ideally, we would have found Lunar Lux here and it would have been great. I wonder if he could have greeted for it. But given that there's, 9 different Luxes and only one of them is lunar, you might not always get to choose. And Lux as a champion itself is really, really strong. Here we actually do see it, and I just want you guys to see it. We'll be seeing it a lot more, the cool combination. There's this trait called Spriken, where you get to basically ride a Nunu and it buffs up your carry. This Nunu is carrying an Elder Dragon. It is carrying the Elder Dragon, which is also another 5 cost in this set. So you have a super buffed up dragon, and this dragon takes up 2 slots as part of its thing. It's kind of a Colossus, or if you played the dragon set, the Dragonland set, it takes up 2 slots to play a dragon, so it kind of fits that thematically. But this dragon is riding a Nunu. How cool is that? How cool is that? It's got Radiant Sterix, Spriken Spat, and a Brawler Spat. So this dragon is riding a Nunu. 1, visually it looks really cool, and 2, like, how many games are you going to be able to play that? Like, I don't know how many games. So I don't even know if it's good, but it's definitely just cool looking, most of all. So yeah, they're playing a Rift Beast Brawler board. We'll look at their traits a bit later, but they're playing a Rift Beast Brawler board, and they're just playing Ashe, which is a Blossom Hunter as backline. So really strong board, good front line, good back line, really solid boards. I love the boards that these guys arrived on. Just really, really cool boards, and they're all revolving around 5 costs, and they're like flowing through the trait web, which I think again is a huge plus for me. But man, this dragon is so cool. We are eventually going to get to 2-star Lux, so don't worry guys, we will get to 2-star Lux. The problem is it's Primal. Primal as a trait, so Lux also always buffs up her allies that share a trait with her. So on cast, all allies that share a trait with Lux gain some amount of mana. So you really do want like a very specific one. So she's the only Primal. So we jump from 0 Primal to 2 Primal. And as you could see, basically what Primal does is gives your team a blessing here. That gives your team like healing, gives your team a little more attack speed, a little more damage, a little more execute. I don't know all of them because they don't actually hover over all of them. But yeah, they go with healing just to get like the Soul's Awakening. So they go with the Turtle, I think is what it was. So that's what Primal does here. But Lux is a really cool unit. She's like classic Lux. I'm not sure how her targeting works. Like if she finds the like longest line or the best line to kind of hit people through. But it is reduced for each damage you hit. So later we're gonna see Aniko basically position the Lux on the bottom left to hit the Ashe on the right, and it's gonna make a fight diff. So that's a really cool positioning thing from the Lux perspective, is to just like really make sure that you're on opposite side of the carry. But it totally depends on how she targets. I don't know if she targets her current target or what's here. It looks like she finds her own line, not just the current target, because she's been targeting this unit but is ulting that way. So I think it might be farthest distance or longest line. We'll have to see when we play PvE. There's not a lot of easy descriptions out here yet, but I think in this fight at the end we're gonna see the Lux. He puts him in the bottom left to get a really clean snipe onto the Ashe. So I do suspect it is farthest, but I'm not 100% sure. And you can see her like spam casting lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt. But yeah, these units are just so cool. I'm gonna play these fights a little bit slower since they're the last couple fights. But yeah, it's pretty cool. This dragon is just flying up in the air. It looks confusing visually what's happening with the dragon. I'm sure the dragon itself like looks stronger later on, but yeah. And the last thing, this is going to be the last fight, so they're going to choose the best combat charm they can. I think this is the really important thing about charms. If you haven't played the charm set from, I believe it was set 13, Magic and Mayhem, this is a really, really cool mechanic, and I think there's a lot of skill to express, but there's also a lot of luck. So Kiwoo, the person playing Brawler and Rift Beast, they actually get a charm called Phantom Emblem, and they get a Brawler emblem on their Ashe. So their Ashe just has so much more, like, it's just a free item, it's B, a great free item as well, and it makes a huge diff in this last fight. I think the Ashe was not doing that much in the previous fights, but now she's just doing a crazy amount of damage, and I think our current POV is not very happy about them getting a Phantom Emblem on this last one, because yeah, they come over and they look at the Ashe damage and they're like, the Ashe just did way more damage with the Brawler emblem. Even though the last fight was super close. Yeah, he is not very happy about this Ashe getting the Brawler spat here. But, you know, that's part of the game is charms. And there is charm luck at the end. So you do need to save gold to roll for the right charms. So if you're in these endgame fights, don't just keep rolling to 0. You do need to save for combat charms. And I think that's a cool mechanic that we'll need to all learn and adjust to play around. But this set is super cool. I think we got to see a lot of 5-cost Ashe, Rift Beast, Alloon, and Lux. We got to see a lot of them. I think there's going to be even more combinations that will... I'm sure there's way more combinations, way better boards that can be made, but I'm really excited. I think visually, you know, we swapped over to the Unreal Engine, so there's a lot of like weird funky looking stuff throughout the video, like really, really weird funky looking stuff, but I'm hoping that'll get brushed up on as we iterate through and as the engineering team gets better and better at it. I'm hoping that clunkiness goes away, but yeah, I'm really excited for set 18, and yeah, I'm really excited to make my Elder Drake ride a Nunu, or make my Lux ride a Nunu, or something like that. I don't know what can ride it, but I'm excited for it. I want to put something on the Nunu, and I want to play this dragon unit, and all the fight. Lux looks super cool. I'm ready to gamba on that to hit my prismatic, whatever it is, to get the +2 there. I'm really excited about it. Thank you guys all for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, if you want to watch me play set 18 PvE, please come watch my Twitch or follow on YouTube to make sure that you find my latest videos, where I'll hopefully be posting really fun games that I've played on PvE. Okay, thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and yeah, let's hope TFT set 18 is as fun as it looks.